G'day everybody. How you going? I want to shout out to everybody on X, Twitter, and whoever's viewing these videos, and YouTube and Rumble as well. My tag is at Zen Chris John. Now I want to make this video about the public mental health system in Australia. I can't speak for other countries, but I'm sure it's probably similar, not the same. The state of the dire state of affairs, how the government and corporations treat people with mental illness in the 21st century up to this date of halfway through 2024. Now, this is about the public mental health system in Australia. It's been going on for 30 or 40 years. Back in the old days, they used to lock people up in asylums for years because they were crazy or violent or somewhat violent or crazy or labelled insane, schizophrenia or whatever. And they used to lock people up in asylums and do God knows what experiments and how they treat some people these days, and even back in the old days. It's just evil, isn't it? Evil. Now people, I believe most people cannot be blamed for having some sort of mental illness. This is about not blaming them, because for a human being to have anxiety or depression or paranoia, being paranoid or delusional or just insane, crazy or autistic and shy and antisocial and whatever labels they want to put on people for having mental illness, people cannot be blamed for having a certain mental illness, because they've obviously a lot of it is about childhood trauma, what people experience as they're learning and growing up as children, to teenagers, to adults, or even trauma in general through adult life. People can develop mental illnesses, typically anxiety and paranoid and delusional thinking patterns, behaviors, because they've been tortured or traumatized. So the majority of people, obviously, I don't think should be blamed for that, and should never be put in detrimental or places where they treat people bad, or they don't treat people good in the mental health system in Australia. Believe me, they treat them pretty bad, and obviously the system is the way it is. They're still learning. Now, I made a recent video last year about mental illness, namely that the sciences of psychiatry and neuroscience are probably only 10% of the way there with knowing about how the brain works and the chemicals in the brain, and knowing about mental illness in general and what cause and effects it brings upon the individual and society. So even the professionals don't know much about mental illness and the mental health aspect of the general trending of society, where a lot of people are being diagnosed these days with a mental illness, aren't they? Like, really, it's really a trending phenomena with the way society is, as troubled as society is. And basically, I also made a video about trauma, my personal experience, and many others about the outpatient and accommodation, the general public accommodation of people with mental illnesses that they are generally forced to live in, dire and real bad states of affairs, accommodation, circumstances. So these are not nice systems. Basically, the key word is systems that they have in place. Systems that they have in place for people that are not well or not healthy, or unwell or unhealthy. And they torture some of these people to the extreme. I'll tell you what, at this point in my life, I've been in and out of the mental health system in Australia, public and a bit of private, for 30 years, 20 odd years, in and out of the mental health system. And I really could not give a shit anymore. I want to expose the lot of it. It's absolutely it's a disgusting system. It's evil. I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of people already throughout 20 years of the public system in Australia who have been put in the inpatient psych ward, locked up, treated in the outpatients released in the outpatients. Basically, the whole idea of the mental health system and psychiatrists' idea in society, I don't know, obviously there's higher powers and the powers that they have over these psychiatrists, but basically the psychiatrists just want to drug people up on antipsychotics. They're called benzodiazepams, a lot of the antipsychotics. And they want to drug them up, shut them up. So that's a key phrase with mental illness. Drug them up, shut them up. That's all they wanted to do to me for 10 years or so. They cannot silence me, and they cannot silence many other people who are speaking out about this. And especially in the transgender moment that we have in society for the last 5 years or so. This goes exactly the same in the health system that we have around the world or wherever. I know that Americans are speaking out against the transgender treatment of the health system. Basically, they're torturing people and indoctrinating children who apparently have gender dysphoria, but believe it or not, they probably know who they are anyway. They're indoctrinating and propaganda and all that, brainwashing kids into changing their sexes. These have long-lasting side effects and terms, physical and psychological. And the way back, they can't really go back. They're just a victim or a slave or a puppet to the system for 20 years or the rest of their lives probably. They're indoctrinated into that system and enslaved by it, so they eventually need more treatment more or less, because they're not satisfied or they want to change again, because the doctors are brainwashing people, man. That's what the thing is. These psychiatrists, doctors and stuff, they're brainwashing a lot of patients, and they're making billions and trillions of dollars, lots of money, to indoctrinate and brainwash with propaganda these patients into believing they're sick. the doctors want to make people believe they're sick when they're really, most of them are not sick. Mental health, transgender, whatever health, public or private health area you want to look at and investigate these days. But this is just an exposing a lot of bullshit and hypocrisy and corruption in the systems of health and other things that we have in society. The systems of health systems. So they want to make people believe that they're sick when they're really not, which is just corruption and hypocrisy and evil. Now they've tried to make me this way. God bless my parents and parents out there with people, young people going in and out of the mental health system. Parents don't know much better anyway, I guess. It's the professionals they've got to rely on. I'm not blaming my family for my personal experience of the mental health system in Australia, but really when they that's their only call, and basically that's the kind of like scientific analysis of the system. Now I'll get into my experience. Now I've had many friends of the family and acquaintances and people I've known who have just been absolutely destroyed by the public mental health system in Australia, around Melbourne in particular. There's inpatients and outpatients. Basically, they lock people up in the inpatient psychiatric unit ward in hospital. They call it the psych ward. And they lock people up. Now, personally, not really personally, but generally, people are locked up and diagnosed with schizophrenia. They're locked up and diagnosed for having very small domestic violence, very small criminal behaviour. These 99% of the patients in the mental health system are not criminals. They're not criminals. They're just people who have obviously been traumatized or bullied or had drug issues or whatever. And seriously, the way they treat these people, the psychiatrists, is just, well, there's only evil is the only word to use. Like, they torture these people in and out of the system. Once you're in the psych, once they put you in the psych ward and lock you up, they can lock you up for up to 3 months, more or less, in a confined hospital area of about, let's say 100 square meters of corridors and bedrooms and treatment areas. They have a HDU, a high dependency unit. They lock people up in 10-meter squared lockups. They can strap you to the bed. They can do whatever. The security guards can assault you if you get a bit angry. Security guards can assault you and hold you down and strap you in a bed, drug you up, shut you up, blah, blah, blah. You know the routine now. And they can inject you with needles, like psychiatric drugs, benzodiazepams, antipsychotics. They can, but the thing is, the side effects of these antipsychotics and antidepressants, anti-anxieties, they make people extremely tired. I've had my personal experience. I've been like in and out of the hospital. I've been so tired and lethargic that I've been absolutely crushed and slept for days and crushed down in the street, like sitting there like a zombie. Like they want people to be like zombies, probably. I don't know, zombies. It's zombies. It's something out of a movie, but it's not. It's real life, and hundreds and thousands of people are affected by it, caused and affected by these systems, and the mental health system and the public scrutiny of people with mental health, and the diagnosis and the stigma that goes along with having a mental illness in the community, friends, family, society, the stigma and judgment of these sort of patients. We all call them patients because they're patients of the system. I mean, you got to have a lot of patience with these doctors and psychiatrists, man. I'm telling you, they're the ones that are crazy, and the psychiatrists should all be locked up and imprisoned for years and years. I'm telling you, man, they do the wrong thing by people, the public, citizens, and they should be locked up. They're half of them are evil. I'll tell you what, in my experience and what I've studied. Now, getting back to the hospital situation, there's a HDU, high dependency unit, so that's obviously an extreme allocation of patients where they drug them up, shut them up, and lock them up and strap them to beds, God knows what else. And then basically they let you out if you behave. You have pretty normal food at the hospital. It isn't crush hot. It's not that great, but it's decent food enough. And they pay for the systems that you use with Medicare or concession or disability pension in Australia, the welfare in and out of the outpatients and inpatients in society in general. So they're cared for by a bit of money, but they're actually really tortured these people very much. So if you all think of asking for help in the mental health area of life, in existence in general, think twice, people, because really these people are really highly corrupt. The doctors, psychiatrists have bad ideas in their heads. And basically, when you're locked up for more or less 3 months or 1 month or 3 weeks, they drug them up, shut them up. They prescribe the patients antipsychotics, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, and they have really bad, not good. They have really painful and torturous side effects to these drugs that the pharmaceutical companies are pushing on people, and and they're all friends with each other, the psychiatrists, doctors, and the pharmaceuticals like Anthony Fauci and the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, what a load of bullshit! Like, they're all friends with each other, and Big Pharma and the doctors and the government, and they all do deals in front of you, really. Like, they're bloody insane, some of these corporations, government officials, and psychiatrists and legal professionals that defend the psychiatrists and doctors. They're crazy. They're absolutely insane. Be like a good example. They'd be like Democrats in America right now. They're possessed by a dark spirit, totally dark spirit. They're insane, as we know. As we know, the Democrats in America in 2024, we all know that. Like, society, billions of people should know that by now. And anyway, so these are the sort of forces behind these decisions and the system, particularly the mental health system in Australia or other countries. So there's the inpatients and outpatients. I've spoken about the psych ward hospital, and then the patients get into outpatients, and once they're released from the hospital of a stay, and they're forced to stay in there. Quite often, most of the people are forced to stay not voluntarily in the hospital for 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever the doctors decide, and they're put on community treatment orders once they're released into the public. Most of them, and forced to take antipsychotics, for example, a lot, like on a regular basis, in line with the community legal laws of psychiatry and the government or corporations or whoever's pushing it. So I've been connected with clinics, local areas, clinics, and you have to go there and take your medication and then talk to them and then go home and get monitored somewhat, and then in the community, and slip up once or twice in the community, like punch someone, or for example, if you're defending yourself, even, oh God knows what, like they blame you for anything these days, or steal a chocolate bar, or smoke a cigarette where you're not supposed to smoke a cigarette, and they lock you up in the psych hospital if you've probably had a mental illness in the past. And then and then basically they lock you up again, and they do the whole routine again and drug you up. And I'm sure these are kind of antipsychotics drugs from the pharmaceutical chemists, the pharmacy, that they force people to take in hospital and out of hospital. They are not great for the heart, the lungs, the blood. It's half of the antipsychotics are poison, probably. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I could go on in this video for like an hour of my experience and what I studied over 20 years, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep it short here. So thank you for listening. 23 odd minutes, but I'm bloody exposing the evil corruption of psychiatrists these days in the 21st century. So I feel proud to tell the truth and what I've been through and what is the truth and facts of the government and how corrupt they are. So exposing the lies and telling the truth. So thank you for listening. And if you want to know a bit about psychiatrists, how evil they can be, and corrupt and sick in the head, just think of a psychiatrist this way. Basically, psychiatrists want to psychoanalyze everybody, label lots of people with illnesses and diagnoses, probably so they can make billions of dollars with their companies. So they want to diagnose, label people, put them into boxes A, B, or C, or X, Y, Z, and control people in society by psychoanalyzing nearly everybody in the world. They think they know everything, and they want to torture people with drugs and God knows what else they do in the. I've explained in the already explained in the psych ward hospital, the mental health public mental health system, what they do to patients, and well, they're not patients really, they're respectable citizens, and they get fucked over by the system, man. Like, it's ridiculous. The amount of wrongdoings in these systems is absolutely ridiculous. You would not believe half the stuff that anyone tells you about it. Like, but people have got to start believing, and yeah, man. Thanks for viewing this video. Comment if you got an idea of alternative therapies. I've made a few videos, fair few now, and there's a trauma one which is about SRSs and the my experience with SRSs and when people are released into the public from the hospital where they stay in accommodation. These places are called SRSs. That's in my trauma video, and I've made another one about the mental illness, and I might make a future video about alternative therapies, including meditation. So keep viewing these videos, and these videos are for education and telling the truth to as many people as I can. Thank you, people. Peace be with you. See ya.